I've always said that he should explain it better, and this is my official position.
Thank you all for your attention, and most of all, thank you, Professor Faltings, for giving up some more time before you get your refreshments. After we recorded the short interview, if you've seen the announcement video, you'll see that we did a short interview remotely. And at the end of that, I can reveal that Professor Faltings said that was mercifully short and almost painless. So I'm aiming to repeat that today to keep things short and light and enjoyable, because we've heard a lot of very serious mathematics so far, but I think this is to have a slightly less formal chat. But I would just like to start by asking you, I know this is not the first Maths Award you've won. So what does it mean to you in particular to have won the Abel Prize?
Well, it's near the end of my career, and it's a nice end. I mean, I thought maybe I get it and maybe I don't get it. And usually I'm a happy person, satisfied with his life, and I would have been satisfied even without the prize, but so it's much better.
Good. I'm very glad to hear that. I'm worried to hear that about the end of the career, though. Surely you're still working on new problems. You can't have given
Yeah,
up now.
but I'm getting old. I mean, the best age for mathematicians is 30 to 40, and I'm now far away from that.
Well, you say that, but you've achieved a lot through your life. So I would like to ask, you said, in fact, I think in the short film we saw, that you went to a particular lecture by Professor Nastold
Yeah.
about arithmetic geometry. And you implied that you were the only person that really gave it attention to the end. But you have been in that field really all your life so far. What is it about arithmetic geometry that made you think, yes, this is what I want to get stuck into?
Well, I hate to correct you, but it was algebraic geometry.
Oh,
But
algebraic geometry. Okay. What is it about algebraic geometry?
by algebraic geometry, I mean, I always wanted to learn. I mean, it's well, I was always bad at geometry at school. I can't draw very well, and I like to do this with algebra. And this seemed to be a nice and interesting field, and I wanted to learn about it. And then, if you have learned about it, it has applications. Well, arithmetic geometry is mixing algebraic geometry and number theory, and it's nice to mix things because you can have new perspectives on various objects.
So, which is more satisfying, especially maybe when you were earlier in your career? Is it more satisfying to find a problem that you think you can solve, or to find a problem that you think, I don't think I can solve this? Which is more attractive?
Well, it's of course more attractive to find a problem you can solve because you have to earn a living afterwards.
That's
Uh,
very
and
practical.
well, but I think the question is not whether you can solve it, but whether you find something interesting.
Right.
I mean, Columbus wanted to go to India and he failed, but it still wasn't a success.
So, is that how you felt when you proved Mordell's conjecture very, very early? Were you weren't expecting to be able to prove it? You thought you'd find something, and then, ooh, there's America.
Yes, yes, I was surprised, but well, sometimes in life, you have pleasant surprises.
Yes, I was wondering, because you had that huge success very young, what did you learn from that process, that experience that you've carried forward in your career?
Well, I mean, I proved Mordell and I was 27 years old, and I thought that's not really the time to retire. And well, I mean, as a mathematician, you always have to look for interesting problems where you think you have a chance to solve it. And in the Mordell conjecture, there were some things which sort of I made, as mathematicians say, handmade proofs. I mean, you just get something together, and I wanted to understand these things better, and I got the more canonical proofs for complexifying moduli spaces and for periodic Hodge theory.
So the approach of bringing things together and seeing if they fit and finding something new, is that something you've carried on throughout your career?
Yeah, I mean, you always hope to find something new, and I always looked at problems where I thought I could make a difference. And also, I don't like really crowded fields. I prefer to work alone and don't have to wait to look at each day whether somebody else solved it. And during my career, I have always found such problems which were interesting. And they were not spectacular like Mordell, but I was satisfied.
You mentioned already Nastold, who was, I think, your supervisor also, and his friend Szpiro. What kind of influence did they have on your career?
Yeah, Nastold was a nice person, and he advised me to read Grothendieck, and which I did. And some people didn't like him because he wrote several hundred pages always. But somebody said, it was locally trivial, which meant sort of, there were no surprising things. You thought, well, he just adds obvious lines, but then at the end he proved a big theorem. So this really impressed me.
And Szpiro, you have said before that you thought Szpiro was working in a slightly different direction to other people, and as you say, that it wasn't crowded, that people weren't paying as much attention to him, and you thought, actually, I think there's something here, and went for it.
Well, Szpiro popularized Arachidov theory, and he had the ideas about model for function fields and positive characteristic that came down to proving vanishing theorems. And then I talked to him, and I thought it's something interesting, and I can do something. And it was clear that what he did wouldn't be sufficient to prove Mordell. There were some things missing, like the Kodaira-Spencer class, which were. And then I thought about this, and the first thing I managed to prove was the Tate conjecture. The Tate conjecture says that, let's see, the Galois representation for an abelian variety is a commutator of the endomorphisms, and it means you have to construct many endomorphisms. And Tate did this over finite fields. If you have an abelian variety and sort of a subspace of the Galois representation, you divide by the stages of this subspace by algebraic groups, and then you look at the quotient, and if you see that there are only finitely many of them, then you get endomorphisms. And in Tate's case, in principle, it was clear that there were only finitely many because the modular space of abelian varieties can only have finitely many rational points over a finite field. But he had difficulties with polarizations and had to work hard. But this was solved later by Sahin, who proved, how to handle polarizations. And then I tried Sahin's approach. I tried this from number fields. And then you again have to quotient a abelian variety by a group scheme. And and there's a notion of the height of an abelian variety, which measures the complexity, and if the height is bounded, then there are only finitely many left.
That was something also you had to solve, wasn't it? You had to say this this definition of height doesn't quite work here. I want to try well, I assume it's that because there is now a thing called the Faltings height. So you must have invented a new way to
well,
approach that.
it doesn't really serve mundane. I mean, the height for function field, the height you need an ample line bundle, and for the modular space of a V and variety, you have the line bundle omega, which gives the highest degree differentials on the universal and B and variety, and so it was clear that this omega had to be a good choice. And then in arithmetic, you have to put a square and a norm on this omega. And it was rather obvious what to do. You take the square integration of the differentials. And so I think it was very natural to take this. I mean, the problem was to prove that it was really a height function. But there are many things were known. It has logarithmic singularities, and it's not so bad.
So was there a moment when you were working on it and you went, if I can solve this and solve this and solve this, then I will have proved Mordell's conjecture? Could you see ahead, if you like, to the end of the process, or were you going, here's a problem, I've solved this, oh no, now there's a new problem, and then suddenly find at the end?
No, I mean, I don't have a big strategy. I mean, in this case, I knew that I would have to bound the height of quotients, and there was a formula for the height, and there are two things happening. One thing is that well, you have square integration, you integrate about a smaller space, so the number goes down, and on the other hand, the integral differentials also become fewer, and then it turned out that these two effects tend to cancel by some miracle, and this way I got the Tate conjecture, and then this also worked for other finite groups, and then I got everything.
And the rest, as they say, is arithmetic geometry.
Well,
I want to ask you a slightly broader question now, because you were talking, but you moved to America, and you were talking about that earlier as a very happy, lucky time. You married, your two daughters are born. You'd moved to Princeton, and then while you were there, you also worked on other things and got the Fields Medal. And then later, you moved back to Germany to the Max Planck Institute. And the way you tell it, it sounds like it's all just very lucky and happy and everything came together. I wonder how complicated were those decisions? Because you had your professional opportunities, you had your family. Did it all just work beautifully together, or were there any points where you thought, maybe things are pulling in different directions and I have to decide?
no, there were no conflicts. I mean, I had a very good time in America, and I now have a very good time in Europe, because I'm here, and my wife also. I mean, yet all our family in Europe, and so maybe I thought after 10 years US is enough, and so we just moved back, and well, I didn't regret it.
No. Well, you've been at the Max Planck Institute ever since.
Yes.
Bonn, yeah. But one thing, often people say that the great thing about the Max Planck Institute is that you don't have to teach, that you can just do research. But you've said to me before that actually you continued to teach because you found it. Well, would you tell me what somebody in your position, you could have just said, no, that's it, I'm here, I'm just going to work with the really clever people and just sit here and keep solving things. So what was it made you want to keep teaching?
Well, I had learned in Princeton, there's the Institute for Advanced Studies, and the guys there, some of them thought if they give a talk, it has to be a really big thing. And then they were afraid that they couldn't do this, and so they didn't talk anymore. And so I thought it's good to give lectures, because then you have to give it, you have to talk each week, and you have to present a topic, and so it's good for you. It's like workout.
So it's part of your thinking process is to
Yeah.
prepare the talk and
Yeah. Well, you always you have to think about things anew, and maybe sometimes, if you talk on Tuesday, you find out on Monday evening that you have overlooked something, and then you have to fix it, and so it's a good exercise.
so if any of Professor Falting's students here from Bonn, he was just practicing on you. But I think you still probably did pretty well out of it, I should think.
Yeah.
How has the field of mathematics changed even over the time you have been at Bonn? Because now we have the new thing of AI, and people say it's actually starting to solve Erdos problems and properly difficult mathematical problems. How do you think that is changing mathematics?
Well, I cannot predict the future. AI is sort of, it was a surprise that it can do so many things. It just, big thing, what is big money pays success. Well, for the moment, there are some things which are, find disappointing. For example, they have those chat programs, and they sort of decide by probability what to say next.
Yes.
And this sounds, it's then sounds like a human, so the humans is also, if they talk, it's just by probability. And this is a depressing thing. And it may be that they will find better ways to things to be more creative, or it may be that the hype's over, and I cannot make any prediction.
No, I think everybody's saying the same, that
Yeah.
it's changing so fast
Yeah.
that it's very hard to say what it will be able to do.
Yes.
But it's not come in enough to affect the way that you were teaching or
No,
supervising.
for the most time it wasn't so big, and it doesn't affect my teaching.
I wanted to ask you, and I don't want to get too technical about this, but I know one of your PhD students, or perhaps past PhD student, was working on the ABC problem
Yeah,
and claims to have a proof. Do you have an opinion on this? Is it something that you could get an AI to check it and resolve the question once and for all?
well, if they could do it, they would have done it, but it apparently doesn't work. It's my talk about my student Mochizuki.
Yeah.
He was a very, self-assured student, and he was very good, and he had ideas, but about this ABC conjecture, I can't understand it because he writes several hundred pages, and it's all special terminology and so on. And if I page 500, I've forgotten page 1. Well, and I've always said that he should explain it better, and this is my official position. But there have been conferences, but even there I'd hoped that they will explain something, but they didn't do it.
That sounds like exactly the kind of PhD supervisor you want, who will just still say to you for the rest of your life, you should explain this better.
Yeah,
Did Nastold could do that for you for even after you became a professor and went to Princeton?
no. No, but you have your PhD students who are like children, and you can't throw them out.
Oh, that's really sweet. All right, I don't want to keep you from why much longer. So let's just finish maybe by asking you what if you had somebody now who was embarking on a PhD or thinking about a PhD and asked for your advice, uh, about how to choose a topic or a supervisor or just general advice for their career, what would you tell them?
Well, I mean, how to choose a topic, it is usually the job of the PhD advisor.
So choose the advisor first.
Yeah, but I mean, well, you should look at the advisor which you like. Well, and do the mathematics which you like. I've always said this. I mean, you shouldn't look at the time look where you might get an Abel Prize, but you should just choose a topic which you like.
That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Faltings, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And now I think somebody should bring Professor Faltings a glass of wine. Which color would you like? Bring one of each. He can decide when he sees them.
Well, yeah, it depends on the kind, yeah.
Depends on the wine.
Yeah.
Oh yes, so I forgot you collect fine wine. So bring the best wine you have. Thank you again.
Yeah.